Where'd that truck come from?
On August 16, 2024, EA Sports released Madden NFL 25. With that, another new season of video game football was on. Wait, wasn't there a Madden 25 like 10 years ago? Oh, 25th anniversary. Okay. Actually, there used to be all kinds of NFL games, but these days, Madden is the only football game around. What happened to all those other games? Are you ready for some football? Stay here for the story of Madden versus NFL 2K and everyone else. The end of summer has always meant a few things: county fairs, new school shoes, and SummerSlam, all before the leaves start to turn. And for 20 years it has meant a new installment of the Madden NFL series, and only Madden NFL. While other major sports have a variety of options to choose from, that's not the case for America's game. The Madden series has its origins in a time before video games. Long ago, a man named Trip Hawkins would create his own versions of Stratomatic in his spare time. Basically an on-paper version of the sport. At Harvard University, Tripp held a spot on the school football team and made use of the campus mainframe computers to predict Super Bowl results, sometimes accurately. He would later found the company that produced the Madden series, EA, or in its early 80s unacronymed name, Electronic Arts. At the time that the company was founded in 1982, sports games were far from realistic. Tripp had envisioned a video version of Stratomatic, backed with a celebrity endorsement. The search for a well-known face led him to cross paths with sportscaster and former Oakland Raiders head coach John Madden on an Amtrak train in 1984. Madden entertained the proposal and replied with a single demand. To quote the man himself, "If there aren't 11 players, it isn't real football." It took Electronic Arts 4 years to develop a football game that met John Madden's criteria. In 1988, John Madden Football was released for the Apple II computer. The game was lauded for its extensive use of real plays straight from the John Madden Playbook. Without a doubt, its best feature. The actual gameplay was very slow and difficult to enjoy. Technology would soon make a leap forward as the 16-bit home gaming era began not long after. Electronic Arts came to Sega asking for a deal to put a newer, better Madden on the Genesis. Sega already had plans to use 4-time Super Bowl winner Joe Montana in a game of their own, but allowed the game on the condition that EA also produce Montana's game as well. A move that may have seemed shrewd for Sega, but indirectly set a decades-long battle into motion. John Madden Football for the Sega Genesis was the superior game, featuring a pseudo 3D point of view, with dozens of real plays to choose from, while Joe Montana Football featured a scrolling field and only 13 plays. Joe Montana was also purposely delayed, missing the Christmas 1990 deadline, leaving Madden as the only game under the tree that year. Sega didn't mind too much, as having 2 football games on the Genesis gave them a boost over Nintendo, positioning the Genesis as the place for sports games. The following years saw Sega and Electronic Arts deliver annual installments of the Big 4 American sports, going as far as creating subdivisions to produce them: Sega Sports and the Electronic Arts Sports Network, later EA Sports. Year after year, the Sega-EA friendly rivalry would lead to bigger and better games. By the end of the 16-bit era, these games featured real teams, real players, some voices, and TV camera style setups, all released to coincide with the start of each new season, with the next calendar year attached to the title. When things moved to 32-bit, the level of realism jumped substantially. Playfields could rotate in 3D, in real time. Actual video clips could be used in-game. Motion capture was used for player animations. It also marked a newcomer to the video game industry, the Sony PlayStation. Sony was serious about competing in the American market, establishing studios all over the world to specialize in development for every genre. Sports was no exception. With the creation of 989 Studios, Sony had an NFL game of their own in 1995, but it was just one new entrant out of many. EA and Madden were the standard bearers, while every other NFL game out there stepped up to be the Madden killer. The PlayStation was popular right from the start. EA supported the struggling Sega Saturn until Madden 98, when only a few months later, the Saturn was killed off entirely. When Sega came back with the Dreamcast in 1999, EA refused a licensing agreement for Madden, or any other game at all on the new machine. At the time, the announcement was a shock, as well as a blow to Sega, which gave little faith to the future of the Dreamcast right out of the gate. Undaunted, Sega purchased Visual Concepts, a developer of some older Madden games, and announced a new line of Dreamcast sports titles. The 2K series. NFL2K, along with the others in the Big Four, presented the highest level of realism in a video game ever seen. Smooth running, detailed graphics, full commentary, and instant replay made NFL2K feel closer to a live NFL broadcast than ever before. The series launched with a huge impact and sold well, becoming a favorite of many Dreamcast owners. However, EA remained king of the hill. Its multi-platform strategy made a much larger footprint industry-wide. The Dreamcast died an early death in 2001. Despite Sega's efforts, the momentum Sony had with the original PlayStation and the hype of the PlayStation 2, along with near-endless cash reserves, meant that the Dreamcast was born to fail, no matter what. While that chain of events was a crushing blow to longtime Sega fans, the company quickly restructured and reversed its fortunes with a multi-platform strategy. Suddenly, all of the great Sega franchises like Sonic Adventure, Jet Set Radio, Crazy Taxi, and Phantasy Star Online could be enjoyed by those outside of the Sega sphere for the first time. All of the 2K Sports series, beginning with 2K2 for the 2001 season, appeared on the PlayStation 2 and Xbox, and still do to this day in their modern forms. But not the NFL. Starting in 2001, Sega stood as the first true competition to the Madden throne and began to up their game. ESPN was signed on to partner with Sega. This put Sports Center branding and accompanying star power in the game. Familiar Sunday night faces, Dan Patrick, Chris Berman, and Trey Wingo appeared in-game Sports Center segments. Sales of the PlayStation 2 and Xbox 2K series increased year over year. Reviews always favored Madden, though 2K did well too. The reviewers' edge always tilted towards Madden's in-game accuracy, while 2K was always regarded as less than perfect, but much more fun. As the 2004 season started to materialize, 989 Studios announced the end of the NFL Game Day series. Microsoft also canceled their own short-lived series, NFL Fever. The main reason was simply cost. The licenses of the league and players, not to mention the work needed to improve the game every single year. It all led to thinner profit margins, which required over 1 million sales for these games to be considered a success. The first-party route just wasn't viable anymore. The field was now wide open for a head-to-head showdown. Madden 2005 versus NFL 2K5. Sega dug deep into its older playbooks, going all the way back to the old days of Sonic. For 2K5, Sega recruited even more celebrities. Jamie Kennedy, former WCW World Champion David Arquette, and others had their own fictional teams, giving a fun diversion to the regular season. Sega launched the game early, on July 20th, 2004, about a month earlier than usual. The next move was a massive surprise. Sega released NFL 2K5 at the rock-bottom price of $19.99. The other 2K5 sports games would carry a $20 price tag too. Sports games have always followed a certain kind of sales pattern. On day one, the most hardcore fans show up, happy to pay full price. By the end of the season, many have traded in that copy, where more casual fans might pick it up, used, for a lower price. Eventually, a $50 game becomes worth almost nothing as newer and newer versions, with up-to-date rosters, at full price, start the cycle all over again. For nearly a month, NFL2K5, a quality production, stood alone without any competition. It was this year's game at next year's price. Why wait? Madden 2005 went on sale 3 weeks later, on August 10th, at the standard price of $50. Sales were good, but much of the hype focused on Sega's early start and aggressive pricing. Sales numbers showed that Sega's move was effective, though not flawless. NFL 2K5 sold 800,000 copies in its first week of release, while Madden 2005 sold 1.3 million in its first 7 days, though EA's sales included versions on the Nintendo GameCube and DS, Windows, mobile phones, and the short-lived Tapwave Zodiac. When the real NFL season began, Sega was neck and neck with EA, with momentum to break away. To stave off Sega, Madden 2005 was reduced in price to $30 at the start of November. In a panic, EA did something that was even more surprising and controversial, securing exclusive rights to the NFL for the Madden series with a $300 million 5-year contract. When that news came in December 2004, it was like dropping a neutron bomb on the gaming industry. All competition had been killed off in one move, essentially forever. The final sales totals placed EA above Sega. Madden 2005 moved over 4 million units. NFL 2K5 sold just over 3 million. Coincidentally, these games ranked as the third and fourth best-selling games of 2004. Both won several awards, and while EA beat Sega, the near 50-50 split cost EA a lot of revenue, as well as some face, proving that Madden was not invincible. NFL 2K5 would be the last official football game from Sega. The company sold off Visual Concepts in January 2005, seeing no reason to continue with its sports series. At the start of the 2005 football season, things felt much more quieter, almost empty. One game, and only one game, went on sale: Madden 06. EA may have won the war, but put a lot of angry gamers on the sidelines. Cries of a monopoly were thrown around. Some vowed to never buy Madden or any other EA game ever again. There were some legal actions taken in the years since 2005, but none ever voided the contract between EA and the NFL. The arrangement was not a monopoly in the legal sense. Nothing stopped any developer from having the sport of football on any gaming platform. All that EA secured were the rights of trademarks and likenesses that any company is free to arrange into any agreement with. Nothing can force the NFL to continue a license with Sega or anyone else. The only recourse for everyone except EA was to go without an NFL license. Several non-NFL games have happened since 2005, though none of them came close in style or sales to Madden. Without the NFL teams and roster, it just doesn't grab the interest of enough gamers. Will there be an alternative to Madden ever again? It's hard to say. The most recent contract was signed in 2020 for $1.5 billion over 5 years, with the option of a 1-year extension. So the earliest possibility would be the 2026 season. But even then, it seems likely that EA and the NFL will keep chugging right along. To compete with EA and obtain the NFL license would take at least $2 billion up front, and that's if you can get the league to go with a new, untested developer. If the rights were no longer exclusive, that company would then have to compete with Madden, which has stood alone for 20 years. And I haven't even factored in the cost of development or marketing. It just doesn't seem likely. But hey, you never know what the future holds. To bring things back full circle, the original vision of John Madden football that began over 40 years ago was to present a realistic version of the sport in a video game. Now, all these years later, Madden 25 looks exactly like the real thing. And, just like the National Football League, it's the only game in town.
I think it's a turducken.
It is a turducken. What it is, it's a deboned chicken stuffed in a deboned duck, stuffed in a deboned turkey. Turkey, dressing, duck, dressing, chicken.